This is Steve Lyons with another Let's Play Salesforce video, and today we're doing another sneak peek of the Winter 18 release. How are things going back there?
That looks like Einstein.
That was Joel with Divine Machine Tattoo in Buffalo, New York, helping us to understand that rebranding efforts can be difficult and painful, but if we all work together, we can get the job done. In full disclosure, I do not have any Wave or Salesforce tattoos. I never have and probably don't plan on getting any in the future. But all the tattoos I do have came from that shop. So thanks again, Joel. With this, we're going to transition into our safe harbor slide. I do not work for Salesforce. I do not speak for Salesforce. Always make purchasing decisions based on currently available offerings. I do not do this as a representative of my employer. This is my hobby, and I hope you enjoy. Hashtag safe harbor. Now let's get on to some spoilers. So the first thing I want to call attention to tonight is the recipe editor. Now, normally I haven't been a big recipe guy up until this point because they don't migrate well between environments, although there is word that there's going to be some updates to that. I don't really know what shape those are going to take. The other reason why, I'm pretty comfortable editing data flows through text, and I can usually achieve what I want. The functionality that's there is not necessarily one-to-one with what we can get in recipes. That said, it's still a really powerful tool. I just haven't really leveraged it very much up until this point, but I would have passed this by completely. But Tim Bizolt at Salesforce pointed this out in the community to me, and I decided to give it a look, and what I found is just awesome. So let's create a recipe. Let's take a look at our airline data. This is that random airline data that I downloaded. And first thing I'm going to notice is I'm missing some buttons. Does that mean that I've lost functionality? Well, actually, it's quite the opposite. We're now getting all those buttons that we used to have up top in this drop-down panel right here, which is pretty cool. We've also got some new arrivals. The ones I want to call out, substring, super cool. I hope you know what it is. Split. This is going to be good. So this allows us a function that's very similar to text to columns in Excel. I believe it's only going to break it into 2 columns, and you'll have to perform this operation multiple times to really break out your data. The immediate use cases I see with this are helping to combat my nemesis, the multi-value field, aka the multi-select pick list. You might be able to parse these out and get them in completely separate columns and juggle all that around, and there could definitely be some good things that you could do with that. Another really great use case that pops to my mind is what about breaking out address data to be able to get useful, meaningful data that we can use for geomaps without having to do some complex transformations and a giant amount of work. This is going to be a really great feature, and I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do with this. Next thing I want to call attention to is we're seeing this Einstein Predictivity logo down at the bottom here. And as much as I tease and make jokes about the rebranding, it really is an extremely powerful thing that's coming to the table here through the acquisition of BeyondCore and a number of other moves that have been made. We're seeing some the first teasers, and we saw this also the other in the previous video with the suggested chart types also had the Einstein logo on it. And where we really start to see this button right here, column profile. So let's take a look at this. It's going to show us frequent values. We can see them amongst the first 5,000 rows, or we can see them among a greater sample. In this case, I'm able to get 100% of my rows at 67K. I don't know what the upper cap is. I imagine the fact that it's showing me that there's 100% means that there is going to be some upper limit where we can't get that immediate response. If I wanted to see more than just my top 5, I can hit view more, and it's going to show me a ton of different values. And we're getting that very same hover text that we saw in the last one with that updated tooltip functionality. Next, we're going to see average string lengths across the different values that we find in this field. Clusters, I haven't observed any instances of clusters, but if I had to guess, I think this is about data streakiness. So if you have a run-on where 300,000 records in a row all have the same value, and then it goes to something else, that might be what that is. So next is anomaly, and that's going to be values that are found extremely rarely in your data set. So for example, /n, there's a bunch of those in this data set. And it's finding those. So maybe I'm going to want to filter this out. Maybe these are bad rows that are going to interfere with my ability to manipulate my data in the way that I want. I'm going to just have these jerk rows that are always showing up and ruining a party for me. So that's what we've got for recipes so far. So after recording that last little part, I found out that none of it actually has anything to do with BeyondCore. Oops. I would have re-recorded it, but I kind of like how that part turned out. So I kept it. We're taking a look at what we can do with embedding dashboards and Lightning app pages. This is the standard out-of-the-box Lightning homepage in Winter 18. Yes, it has gotten an upgrade. No, we're not going to be talking about it. It's not that I don't care. It's just not what the video is about. So let's take a look at what happens when we edit the page. And normally, when we add a Wave dashboard to a Lightning page, it's always going to show the name of the dashboard, when it was last updated, and a link to get into Wave Analytics. And this is something that we've seen an update to. I now have the ability to hide the header and or title, and functionality for whether I open new links in a new window or if they open within the same panel. So allowing navigation between different parts of your dashboard suites, your full implementation, all from one interface. So let's get rid of these guys here. Hit save and take a look at what it looks like. And we are no longer wasting 25% of our dashboard real estate telling us something we already knew, the name of the dashboard we're looking at. Really cool update. Can't wait to see what else we can do with this. You asked for it and you got it. Link widgets now support external URLs. I simply drop in the URL of where I want to go to. I add a title. And I can even add a tooltip. Then when I view that, it takes me to the video. Next up is pages, and this is being released in beta, so hashtag safe harbor squared on this one. We have no idea what shape it's going to take in the final product or if it will ever become GA at all. Let's take a look at what it can do. So I'm going to create a lens, group it by destination airport, sort descending. I said sort. And then we're going to go up here, add a new page. We're going to call this one page 2. Now this is still part of the same dashboard, so it still has all the same steps available to us, which is going to allow for a much faster render time when switching back and forth between them. But it's going to have the look and feel of a completely separate dashboard. Like, for example, just to allow the end user to get to it, we're going to have to create a link widget. And this is going to be really cool because if you're good with UI trickery and, like, you know, the leveraging border color and such, you can make for a really cool seamless experience that allows users to have almost like a tab view similar to what we can have in the Lightning App Builder. So let's try this out. So just by clicking on this button, I'm able to toggle between the two pages. It's super quick. These are still, in fact, the same lens, though. So even if I'm to do something like this and just, you know, make significant changes to the appearance of it, it's still the same step. So when I go to the next dashboard or the next page, we can see that that same filter has been applied because it's really still the same step. But again, I do want to call out that this is a beta feature. It's still in development. It's still a work in progress, and we have no idea what shape it's going to finally take, because just as of yesterday, I had a purple outline instead of a blue outline, indicating that this widget was being shared between multiple pages, and there was also a text block up above create step here that would allow me to unlink them, which would clone out the step. So take this one with a grain of salt. I'm very excited to see what could come, but we don't really know if we're going to get to keep this one or not. Another highly requested feature was additional reference lines, and we got it. So how many reference lines can we have now? Well, let's find out. I'm going to put one at 900, going to put one at 800, 700, 600. How many can I have? Well, it's actually a pretty simple answer here. I can actually have enough reference lines to break the UI. That's right, we have all of the reference lines to the point where we're actually extending the maximum render height for this portion of the panel. That is so cool. All the reference lines you could ever want. This is awesome. So last up tonight was something I was really hoping to see get an overhaul, and it's global filters. I've never really been happy with global filters. There's a lot of reasons why they just didn't work right. And it all ends with this release. So what do we got? We got a block of filters. We can add filters to it. Okay. Well, let's say that, you know, this is the global filter that I want to apply. Cool. Now this is a global filter. But does it have to be? I can choose to leave this unlocked. And what that's going to allow is for a starting value that can get passed in. The user can see what that starting value is. And they can choose to change it if they want. Or I can lock it and enforce that just as we could before. Another cool thing about it is for long scrolling dashboards, I can add another one of these down here, and it's going to have the same configuration as the one above. And they're both tied together, so even if I add another filter down here, it's still going to exist in the one up top. Another cool thing we can do is we can shrink that down to whatever shape and size we want it to be. Oh, but the buttons are getting all crushed. Well, that's okay. We can change the number of buttons displayed per row. We also have a lot of control over the filter style, be it the field color, value color, and our favorite background color. And even as we change these, they remain independent from the other filter block, even though the filters are tied together. And if we really still want to have just a filter that we want to apply and we don't want to show it to the users, we can remove them from the layout, and we can see that those filters are still actually applied and in effect. That's cool. So that's all we have for now, but keep your eyes open because there will be more content. Notice that I haven't even said the word SACWL yet. There's a lot more features for Winter 18 yet to come, and I will be posting more content on those as it becomes available. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, or if we're friends on LinkedIn, hit me up and endorse me for stubborn determination. It really is the secret sauce to my entire career. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.